Hi guys, this is Miss Monroe, and get ready for Unit 7 Senior Vocab. Here we go. So just some quick instructions for use. Make sure you watch us with the sound on. Remember to copy not what you see on the slides, but also what you hear. Don't use the internet to copy and write your own sentences. This time around, I'm going to focus on nouns. Just a reminder that nouns are person, place, or thing. Pronouns are words that take the place of a noun. So instead of saying Miss Monroe, you would say she. That would make it a pronoun. Okay, so as we go throughout this presentation, I want to point out the nouns to you. I'm probably going to highlight them in red, and you'll see how, why that's important in a little bit. Okay, here we go. So our first word is abject. It means very bad or severe, utterly hopeless or miserable, low in spirit, strength, or hope. So, as you see in the sentence here, he died in abject poverty. Here, abject is the vocab word. It's an adjective, and it's describing the noun poverty, in bad or severe poverty, hopeless poverty. Sometimes in history, we ignore some of the more abject moments of our nation's history, our hopeless, our bad, our severe, that kind of thing. It's a negatively toned word, obviously, and you just want to make sure you connect it to this idea of bad or severe, right? And utterly hopeless. Like, you wouldn't say that movie was so abject. You wouldn't say it like that because the movie really wouldn't be hopeless or miserable, you know? Next word, abstruse. Abstruse is an adjective and it means difficult to understand. So, abstruse would describe maybe a lecture if you had to listen to it, or sometimes if you're reading a book, you might find the theme to be a little abstruse. Or if you're listening to your friend like talk about what she did last night, maybe like what she was saying was becoming a bit abstruse. All right, so it just means difficult to understand. Allege. Allege is a verb and it means to state as fact but without proof. It is neutral in tone. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right? Normally you see this word in connection to the law, right, or court. Criminal activity. So if you take a look at this sentence, your audience will listen to you without alleging your innocence. So here, audience, right, is the noun. And the sentence is saying, like, the audience they'll listen to you without alleging. Here's the verb, without stating, or stating as a fact without proof. Okay. So here, the audience, right, will listen to you without alleging your innocence. So the noun has to be doing the verb, and the verb being allege. Belabor, our next word. This means to explain, to go over excessively, or to a ridiculous degree. It's a verb, so it's something that you do. To attack or criticize verbally, it's to like go over something again and again and again. If you take a look at the sentence here, some people use social media as a means to belabor their own views of an issue. So here, the nouns people and media, what people do is they use, because it's a verb, so you have to do it. What people do is on social media, they just keep belaboring or going over and over and over their feelings on whatever it might be by posting like 1,000 pictures or retweeting the same idea like 1,000 times. They're like belaboring the point. This is a negatively toned word. Our next word, calumniate. Calumniate, it is a verb and it is negative in tone. It's most often used to describe things you hear in the news or politics, and it means to slander or to accuse falsely and maliciously. So a politician might calumniate their opponent in order to win some votes, for example. So in that sense, the politician is calumniating. They're doing the verb, the action, which is slandering or accusing falsely. Our next word, it is captious. 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 It's an adjective, and it means of a person tending to find fault or praise. Petty objections. So I use this example of Donald Trump because he feels like a lot of people are very captious of him, like finding petty objections in the things that he has to say. A lot of times you hear people, again, this is another good politics word, right? You hear people in politics saying that they either are finding like petty little objections with an opponent, or the opponent is finding petty little objections to what they're doing. Our next word, complicity. You can see my great picture here. It's a negatively toned word, and it means involvement in wrongdoings, a state of being an accomplice. So this is a negatively toned word. If you are in complicity, you are an accomplice to whoever the main criminal was. So it might help you to think about using this word like in complicity. So the man went to jail because he was in complicity with the bank robber, right? Our next word, conciliate. It is a verb, and it's a positively toned word, and it has to do with relationships, like personal relationships. It means to bring into agreement or reconcile, or to gain or regain the goodwill or favor of. So you conciliate. So if like a husband and wife were fighting, maybe the wife would conciliate. She conciliated her husband by cooking him a really fancy dinner or something. That's an incredibly sexist example, but so it's the act of bringing an agreement or reconciling. If there was like a fight in the hallway, the VPs might want one person to conciliate with the other person who was involved in the fight. Consummate. It is a adjective and a verb, so know that there are two parts of speech here. Consummate is complete in every detail or perfect. So if you say, this is Beyonce's consummate album, that means it's her perfect, it's complete in every detail. She doesn't have to make one more record ever. And if I say consummate album, that's me using it as an adjective to describe the album. It also means extremely skilled or accomplished, so the consummate singer. Of the highest degree, or if we're using it as a verb, to make something perfect or complete. So a lot of times you've heard this word like to consummate a relationship. The businessmen might do like a handshake or something. So that's it being used as a verb. They consummated the relationship by shaking hands. This next one, I put 3 words on the same slide here. Countermand, that is a verb and a noun. So here's another one with 2 parts of speech. Countermand. Counter should help you remember this one. It means to cancel or to revoke an order. So like a long time ago, way back in the day, it used to be against the rules to wear a hoodie at Timber Creek. But after about a year of that silliness, it was countermanded. That's me using it as a verb. And that rule was, they got rid of that. Or it means a contrary order or the revocation of an order or command. So the principal put out the countermand on the morning announcement. And that way I'm using it as a noun because the principal put it out. It doesn't have to be negative or positive, so it's a neutrally toned word. Counterpart. This is a noun, so it's a thing. A person or thing that is very like or equal to another person or thing. So sometimes you might say like, you might be the counterpart of your best friend, the person or thing that is very like you or equivalent to you. Sometimes if you have like a dog in your house, you may want to get another one so that he has a counterpart, like somebody or another pet that's like equal to him. Again, counterpart doesn't have to be positive or negative. It's more of a neutrally toned word. Delineate. Delineate is a verb, so it's something that you do. And it means to trace or outline, sketch, represent, or to portray in words precisely or describe. So, for example, if there was an accident, you would delineate the events to the police officer. So that's me using it as a verb again. You delineate the details of the accident. Dissemble. That's our next word. Love all these C's and D's in this one. It's nice and confusing. Dissemble means to conceal one's true motives, feelings, or beliefs, to put on the appearance of. A good synonym for that might be to feign, F-E-I-G-N, feign. So dissemble is a verb. It's something that you do, and it's a negative negatively toned word. It's definitely a negative action. It's like hiding. It's like putting on a front, right? So Jane's plan was to dissemble her intentions from her husband, though so she could successfully plan him a surprise party. So in this sense, it's like not really completely a negative thing, but usually it means like putting on a show, being phony. There's another good synonym for it, to be phony. Here, the noun being Jane, right? She's our pronoun. Jane is dissembling, right? Because dissemble is a verb. So Jane is dissembling her intentions. Our next few sets of words here, we have euphemism. Euphemism is a noun, and it's a neutrally toned word. It means an indirect, less offensive way of saying something that is considered unpleasant. Okay, so that is a euphemism, an indirect, less offensive way of saying something that is considered unpleasant. So, for example, if you didn't want to say like you got fired, you would say, oh, you got let go. Instead of saying somebody died, you would say, oh, they passed away. Fervent. Fervent is an adjective and it means felt very strongly, having or showing very strong feelings. So you're fervent, you're intense, you're strong-willed. You are a fervent believer. If it's an adjective, it's describing the believer. So you can use it in this way. So the fervent believers, whatever, you can finish that however you like, went to church every Sunday or whatever. Fraught. Fraught is an adjective, and kids like always use this word wrong, but I want to tell you, if you use the word with after fraught, you're most likely going to use it right. So the definition for fraught is full of or accompanied by something, used with. Okay, like I said, causing or characterized by emotional distress or tension. Something is uneasy. So you could say the police officer was aware that the situation was fraught with danger or full of danger. However, you would definitely not say like the cereal is fraught with marshmallows. It doesn't mean like physically full. It means like something that comes with something else. So like the holidays can be fraught with drama, right? With the holidays comes drama, right? Our next word is emulate. Emulate can be a positive or negative toned word. It's a neutrally toned word. It's a verb, and it means to strive to be equal or excel through imitation. A good synonym for this might be mimicry, okay, or mimicking. It is a conscious intention of when a person strives to be as good as something else by imitating it, right? And it's usually something you admire. So you would like emulate the behavior of somebody you thought was like really cool or really smart. You're emulating their behavior. You're striving to be equal, right? Or excelling by modeling. Modeling would be another good synonym. Enervate. Enervate, I know it sounds like energize, but it's not. It's actually the opposite of that. It's a verb and is a negatively toned word. And it means to deprive or force of strength, to make someone or something feel weak or tired, to like suck the life out of something, to drain. Drain would be a good synonym here. So here, like if you were working for a long time on a computer, it might start to enervate you. It might like make you weak or tired. If you are like a runner and after your like fourth or fifth mile, you start to get a little enervated, right? Then, that's because you're starting to get tired. A lot of times the heat will enervate runners. Our next word, the word here is garner, Garner. Garner, and it's a verb, and it means to gather in storage or to acquire by effort. A good synonym for that might be collect, right? To acquire. So if you're garnering, like in this example, somebody is like garnering the keys to the car after, working hard for it or whatever. You could also garner ideas. So you could, watch a bunch of documentaries to garner ideas on how to, fix a problem. You could, go to different websites to try to like garner resources for a research paper. So it's to gather and to store them, to garner them. Our next word here, and this is our last one, equity. And it's a noun, and it means the quality of being fair or impartial. Fairness, impartiality. So that'd be a good synonym for this. Something that is fair and just. Equity. It's a noun, so it's a thing. A good sentence for that would be the judge was known for his equity. So there, he was being known for being fair. Okay, so you would want a country built upon equity, right? Um, if you build, this is like a adulty example, but if you build up equity in your home, that means that you have put so much money into it that it's a fair amount that you would get back ultimately if you decided to sell it. So it's the quality of being fair or impartial. So it's definitely a positively toned word. Okay, that's it.